All right. So as I was saying earlier on, for you not to understand what your data is, I've explained that what makes up your data are data on your computer device, medical data, your employment records, your information online, your identity, your educational data, and your financial data. Those are the things that make up your personal data. All right. So, and all those data can be hacked. You know, for every cyber criminal, a cyber criminal needs these informations to be able to access or do anything with your records. Okay. So, where is your data? That's the question. Where is your data? All of this information is about you. Okay. There are different laws that protect your privacy and data in your country, but do you know where your data is? Now, the question is this. Do you know where your data is? When you are at the doctor's office, the conversation you have with a doctor is recorded in your medical chart. For billing purposes, this information may be shared with the insurance company to ensure appropriate billing and quality. Now, a part of your medical record for the visit is also at the insurance company. So the store loyalty cards may be a convenient way to save money for your purchases. However, the store is compiling a profile of your purchases because they will always take records for your loyalty cards and using this information for its own use. Now, the profile shows a buyer purchases a certain brand and a flavor of toothpaste regularly. This is how your data is being built. That's what we're explaining right now, how your data is being built. The store uses this information to target the buyer with special offers from the marketing partner. By using this loyalty card, the store and the marketing partner have a profile for the purchasing behavior of a customer. So when you share your picture online with your friends, do you know who may have a copy of that picture? You don't know. So copies of those pictures are on your own device. Your friends may have a copy of those pictures downloaded onto their devices as well. So if these pictures are shared publicly, strangers may have copies of them too. So they could download those pictures or take screenshots of those pictures because the pictures were posted online. They are also saved on servers located in different parts of the world. Now, the pictures are no longer only found on your computer device anymore because that particular information or pictures have gone online. And this is where you find out that a lot of people complain where they pick some of their pictures to open a fake account on Instagram or Facebook to fraud people. So when you see people complaining how somebody opens a fake Facebook account using a similar name, okay? Now posting the same picture, almost all the pictures you have on your own original account on a fake one. And when they do that, they go access contacting people to fraud people. So at the end of the day, when they're chasing or the cyber or the people are trying to chase people, they find out that they end up chasing you, who is innocent, who doesn't even know anything. So those are part of the measures as a security personnel. You need to actually, a cybersecurity personnel, you need to actually know, and how you can track those kind of people is what we're going to be learning in this cybersecurity course. All right. So your computing devices. We've talked about your data. Okay, we've talked about your record. Now we want to talk about your computing devices, your mobile phones. Your computing devices do not just store your data. Now listen. Now these devices have become the portal to your data and generate information about you. So unless you have chosen to receive paper statements, okay, for all of your accounts, most especially you use your computing devices to access the data. If you want a digital copy of the most recent credit card statement, you use your computing devices to access the website of the credit card issuer. If you want to pay your credit card bill online, you access the website of your bank to transfer the funds using your computing devices. Besides allowing you to access your information, the computing devices can also generate information about you. So with all this information about you available online, your personal data has become profitable to an hacker, and that is how it happens. So a lot of people don't know these informations. A lot of people don't know this. So that is why for every phone you use, it is important. It is very important you create a password on your device. A lot of people will say, why do I have to create a password on my device? Some people say, okay, is it because you're protecting it from your girlfriend or from your wife? No. When you create a password on your devices, it gives you an opportunity to protect your data from someone who is trying to access your data outside, which is not even closer to you. Okay? All right. So they want your money. Yes. That is why they are trying to access. That is why they are trying to access. If you have anything of value, the criminals want it. Your online credentials are valuable. These credentials give the thieves access to your accounts. You may think the frequent flyer miles you have in are not valuable to cyber criminals. Think again. After approximately 10,000 American airlines and United accounts were hacked, cyber criminals booked free flights and upgrades using these stolen credentials, even though the frequent flyer miles were returned to the customers by the airlines. This demonstrates that the value, okay, this actually demonstrates, okay, that they could access your online accounts and your reputation to trick you into wiring money to your friends or family. Today, we hear a lot of people complain that somebody calls them or somebody accessed their own account and they have this account in a particular bank. How did this one happen? It is because either they had access to your SIM card or had access to something that gave them access to your information. So cybersecurity are there to protect and create protocols and security protocols, not to allow these cyber criminals to access your information. Okay, so they could access your online account and your reputation to trick you into wiring money to your friends or family. The criminal can send messages stating that your family or friends need you to wire them money so they can get home from abroad after losing their wallet. Now, these criminals are very imaginative. What are they saying? They are very imaginative. They understand and follow up every information they get. When they are trying to trick you into giving them money, they do not just steal your money. They could also steal your identity. And that is what is going on today. They steal your identity. They use your face to ask money from other people. And you, not knowing that these are hackers who have accessed either your Facebook or your Instagram, all right, and use it to access money from others. Okay, so it's very important you have a complete protection over your social media accounts. Now, why do they want your identity? Besides stealing your money for a short time, okay, monetary gain, the criminals want long-term profits by stealing your identity. As medical costs rise, medical identity theft is also on the rise. The identity thieves can steal your medical insurance and use your medical benefit for themselves. And these medical procedures are now in your medical records. So the annual tax filing procedures may vary from country to country. However, cyber criminals see this time as an opportunity. So for example, the people of the United States need to file their taxes by April 15 of every year or each year. The Internal Revenue Service, which is the IRS, does not check the tax return against the information from the employer until July. So an identity thief can file a fake tax return and collect the refund. The legitimate filers will notice when their returns are rejected by IRS. With the stolen identity, they can also open credit card accounts and run up debts in your name. This will cause damage to your credit rating and make it more difficult for you to obtain loans. So personal credentials can also lead to corporate data and government data access. What do they mean by that? If they have access to you, for example, you're working in a bank and they have access to your credentials, there are some informations they can access from your data that can lead them to access your government or your company information. That's what they're trying to say here. So types of organization data that is being, we have the traditional data, okay? We have what we call the Internet of Things data, Internet of Things and big data, okay? So let's talk about the traditional data. Corporate data includes personal information, intellectual properties, and financial data. So the personal information includes application materials, your payroll, your offer letters, your employee agreements, and any information used in making employment decisions. While the intellectual properties such as patents, trademarks, and new product plan allows a business to gain economic advantage over its competitors. So this intellectual property can be considered a trade secret. Losing this information can be disastrous for the future of the company. So the financial data such as income statements, balance sheets, and cash flows statement of a company gives insight into the health of the company. All right, so let's look at the Internet of Things and the big data, which is what we are operating of today. So with the emergency of the Internet of Things, which is IoT, there is a lot of more data to manage and secure. IoT is a large network of physical objects such as sensors, equipment, and extended beyond the traditional computer network. Now, all these connections, plus the fact that we have expanded storage capacity and storage services through the cloud and the virtualizations, this leads to the exponential growth of data. So this data has created a new era of interest in technology and business called big data. So when you talk about big data, you're talking about the data put together from your phone, your mobile phone, from your sensors, from the tracking devices, because these are IoT devices, okay? So this data has created a new era called big data. With the velocity, volume, and variety of this data generated by the IoT and the daily operation of business, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of this data is vital to the survival of the organization. So we'll be looking into the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability. All right. So that's what we're talking about now. When we talk about the CIA threat, we're talking about the availability, we're talking about the confidentiality, and we're talking about the integrity. Now, these three things are what makes up your data. So when we talk about the confidence, okay, we talk about the integrity, and we talk about the availability, known as the CIA trade. All right, it is a guideline for information security for an organization. Confidentiality ensures the privacy of data by restricting access through authentication, encryption, integrity. Okay, so through authentication encryption. Now you'll find out that today, if you have to log in into your Gmail, they will always require what they call authentication. Maybe if somebody is connecting to your Gmail on your laptop, okay, and the Gmail they're connecting on your laptop, you still have that same Gmail on your phone. You will see that the phone will require what they call authentication encryption, meaning if you don't connect from your phone, if your phone doesn't give that permission, you cannot connect to your laptop. Okay, that's one. Then the integrity assures that the information is accurate and trustworthy, while the availability ensures that the information is accessible to authorized people. So these are the three key you need to look into. So we're going to look at the confidentiality. Now, another term for confidentiality would be privacy. Okay, that's why for every website you visit, or for every website you visit, you always see something that comes out that talks about privacy. Click for your privacy. So it is very important, you know. So all those things are created by the cybersecurity personnel. All right. So complaints, policies should restrict access to the information to authorized personnel and ensure that only those authorized individuals view this data. So the data may be compartmentalized, okay, according to the security or sensitivity level of the information. So for example, a Java programmer, okay, or a Java program developer should not have access to the personal information of all employees because he's the Java developer in the office. Yes, he has access to it, but he should not. There should be a privacy, okay, where he needs to sign as a Java program developer. He shouldn't have access to the personal information of all employees, even if he sees it. So furthermore, employees should receive training to understand the best practices in safeguarding sensitive information to protect themselves and the company from attacks. So methods to ensure confidentiality include data encryption, username ID, okay, and password. So there's what we call two-factor authentication. It is very important. I always tell everybody that uses a phone or uses a mobile device, please make sure your device has two-factor authentication, because with these cybersecurity protections, it gives you an opportunity to protect your data, okay, and minimizes your exposure of sensitive information. So when you create all this encryption, data encryption, or create a user ID and password, or create user information, it expects you have a two-factor authentication and minimize exposure of sensitive information. Okay, then we look at the integrity. We've looked at the confidentiality. Let's look at the integrity. So the integrity is accuracy. Okay, accuracy in the sense that it's consistency and trustworthiness of data during its entire life cycle. So data must be unaltered during transit. What they mean is when your data is going from one network to another, it must not, it must not be altered and it must be trustworthy. So not changed by unauthorized entities. So file permissions and user access control can prevent unauthorized access. So when you talk about the version control can be used to prevent accidental changes by by authorized users. So what you need to do to have integrity, there must be backups, okay? You must be able to backup must be available to restore any corrupted data. And there's what we call checksum and hatching, okay? Checksum hatching can be used to verify integrity of the data during transfer. All right, so we're going to talk about the checksum. The checksum is used to verify the integrity of files or strings of characters after they have been transferred from one device to another across your local network or the internet. So checksums are calculated with hatch functions. Okay, so when we're doing the practicals, You're going to see how this one works. So some of the common checksums are the MD5, the SHA, okay, and we have the SHA256, and we have the SHA512. So an hash function uses a mathematical algorithm to transform the data into fixed length value that represent the data as shown in figure 2. All right. So look at the figure 2, you understand, when your test comes as a plain test, it goes through an hash and see what happens. It becomes what? A fixed length hash value. So this one now is a way to protect the integrity of your document. So the hash value is simply there for comparison from the hashed value. Okay. So the original data cannot be retrieved directly. For example, if you forgot your password cannot be recovered from the hash value. The password must be reset. Okay, so these are the things, these are the protocols they use, or these are the things they use to actually protect your password. So after a file is downloaded, you can now verify its integrity by verifying the hash values from the source with the one you generated using any hash calculator. So by comparing the hash values, you can ensure that the files has not been tampered with. Okay, so you can ensure that the file has not been tampered. So now let's look at the availability. So maintaining equipment, performing hardware repairs, keeping operating systems and software up to date, and creating backup ensures the availability of the network and data to the authorized users. So you have to have plans, okay? Plans should be in place to recover quickly from natural or man-made disaster. Security equipment or software, such as firewalls, guard against downtime due to attacks such as denial of. So what I'm saying here is, anytime you have your devices or your data, there are measures you need to carry, okay, which availability is key. So you have to plan on backups, very, very important, in case there's any problem with your data or with your device. Backing up every of your data is very, very important. That's what they're trying to say here. So denial of service occurs when an attacker attempts to overwhelm resources so that the services are not available to the users. So when you have a backup, now, one thing cybersecurity always try to do is, you can actually protect and you can prevent. Doesn't mean they will not attack. But what makes you a professional is when they attack, you are quickly to detect that attack and resolve it. That is what makes you a cybersecurity professional. So we're not saying that, okay, you have to create, a security whereby they will not attack. No, it's not possible. They will always attack. But the good thing is how you resolve that attack. It's what makes you a qualified cybersecurity professional. Okay. So I don't know if you have any question. I would like to stop the class here, but like I told you, there's always what we call a lab. All right. So one of the labs you're going to go through is this. You're going to go through this lab. Okay. When you log into your environment, you actually see this lab. I don't know if you can see the screen. Can you see the lab?
Yes.
All right, so this is your first lab and it's your first activity. But before you go through this, you go through the lab, just follow the instruction. Now, the way the lab is worked, or the way the lab normally works, one good thing I normally do is to group you people into smaller groups, so you can actually have what we call a proper communication between each other. But we might not start that today, because some people are going to be joining the 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock class in the evening. So after the 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock class in the evening, then I'll be able to group everyone into smaller groups, okay? Then from that smaller groups, you can attend to your labs, okay? Now, The good thing about the lab is this. The instructions of the lab, this is how the lab in Cisco Networking Academy works. You are just to follow every instruction they give to you. For example, this one talks about the objective. Use a hashing program to verify the integrity of the data, background and scenario. It says it is important to understand when data has been corrupted or it has been tampered with. A hashing program can be used to verify if that data has changed. So if you're working in an office and your boss computer is having issues, or your boss feels all his data has been corrupted or have access to, how can you find out? You can find out by using this particular hash function to find out. So that's what you're learning from here. So they have given you the scenario. There are many different hash functions, some very simple, and some very complex. When the same hash is performed on the same data, the value that is returned is always the same. So if any change is performed on data, the hash value returned will be different. So all you need to do is follow the instruction. They say, note, you will need installation privileges and some knowledge of the process to install Windows programs. So required resources, you need a PC with internet access. So you must have a computer with internet access for you to be able to do this lab. So first thing you need to do is to search your computer for the Notepad program and open it. Every computer has a Notepad. You can see how. So type some text in the Notepad. You type some information in the Notepad, then you save it. So you navigate to your desktop. Then you type hash in the file name and click save. All right? That's how to save it. Then when you're through with that, you move to the second stage. You go online, you open a web browser and go online and install, you download this file called install hash cloud. So what we're going to do, okay, for me to continue with this, I'm going to have a short audio after 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock class. I'll come back to the group and send you maybe an audio on how you can actually be grouped into smaller groups. Then you can now do this on your own. You can do the lab on your own. But what I normally do is I would like to have a leader, okay, of that group. Each of the group will present what I've learned or what practical the team has done, okay, because activity is very, very key. So the way you do the activity online, so is how you do it, physical, all right? So that is how we're going to end the class today. And I know the next class is going to be on Thursday and not Wednesday. So every other communication will continue on the WhatsApp group. If you have a question, you can ask me on the WhatsApp group. You can DM me directly, okay? This particular class is going to take just 15 hours, which is going to take us like 15 days, okay? And after the 15 days, you can go ahead and do your exams and get your certification, all right? So thank you for joining us today. And we'll have a repeat class. It's going to be a repeat class by 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock for those who are joining, who could not join now, all right? So if you have any question, ask before we go off the class. Any question? All right. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, thank you,
Thank
sir.
you very much, sir.
All right.
Thank you very much.
See you on Thursday. Bye.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Bye.